Hey everybody, and welcome to 32 Bar Cut. I'm Austin Cook, Broadway pianist and music director, and today we'll be talking about your audition book. What is it? How do you make one? How do you prepare a professional audition book? I'm going to answer all of your questions in this series. Part 1, today's episode, we will be talking about how to choose the songs for your book. All right, let's dive in. But before we do, if you stay tuned to the end of the episode, I'm going to give you 20 songs, my 20 songs that I'm going to put in my new book. I haven't created a book in a long time. I'm going to start from scratch today with you. We're going to make this book together. All right, to get started, I want to give you an analogy to think of when you're constructing this book. Whenever you're walking on the sidewalk and you have your favorite store, let's pick a store, let's say Anthropology. I'm walking by Anthropology and I look at their display and it's awesome. They've got bedding, they've got living room apparel, they've got furniture, they've got clothing, most importantly, really cool clothing. And it's all displayed in a way that's very artistic and looks professional, looks exciting, and it makes me want to go in the store and shop. And they have so much to choose from. But it's all in the same general aesthetic. That is exactly what we are trying to do with our audition book. Okay, the audition book is our aesthetic. It's who we are. It represents us. All of the material in it needs to be a representation of who we are as an actor. You don't want to think generic with it. It's not about picking a bunch of random songs and a bunch of random performances and then sticking them all in your book. No, it needs to be thoughtful. Every song in there, regardless of the genre or the category it's in, which we'll talk about, regardless of that, it needs to represent kind of your aesthetic. So let's talk about who you are. Before you can get started in the book, you need to know and understand your type. What are you auditioning for? What is the purpose of you as an actor? Okay. Are you a dancer? Are you just a singer? Like for me, I'm not a dancer at all. I'm just would be going in for principal roles that don't have to barely even move. Okay, or musician roles where they have to play the piano. Maybe I'm good for Once, the musical, where I can play piano and act. Or maybe I'm good for something like $1 Million Quartet I'm really good at the piano, so I can play the role of Jerry Lee Lewis. What is your type? Are you comic? Are you going in for character roles, or are you more of a dramatic actor? Are you someone who's regal, who has a regal quality, so you never would be maybe a Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd, who's more of a character actor? You need to know and understand your type before you can assemble your book, because yes, you want to be diverse. You want to have some character songs in your book and you want to have a diverse collection of songs, but it still needs to all feel in your brand. Similar to Anthropology, when you go in that store, you're not getting a bunch of random stuff. You're not getting Lucky Brand stuff there. You're only getting Anthropology's aesthetic. It's not Hot Topic. Okay, it's all in the same world, and that is how you need to think of your book. Every song in it needs to be in the same world that is your brand, so that when you go into these casting audition situations, they get to know you, that it feels honest to who you are, and that the more you audition, even if you don't get the job, the more you're building a brand with the casting companies and with directors, that they start to understand, that way when they have a show that is exactly you, they know your aesthetic, they know who you are, and they can think of you. Also, when you see a display for a store, it's put together, it's neat. It displays all of those things. It displays the furniture they have, it displays their trinkets, as well as mannequins with the apparel, what they mostly do. Your book needs to be the same way. If it needs to be mostly apparel, it needs to be 8 songs of modern musical theater. That's your bread and butter. That's what the most shows are on Broadway, that are prepared, that are ready to go. But also you have those other trinkets. You have a Sondheim song. You have an 80s pop song. You have a rap song, something that's modern R&B in there, just to show your character and to show the diversity of what you have to offer as an artist. You want to have all of that in your book, polished and ready to go. This isn't for the faint of heart. If you're a casual musical theater person, this isn't the video for you. This is for people who want to be professionals at the top of their game. They want to be working on Broadway. They want to be working on tour. They want to be working at the top level. This is the top level of assembling a book. Okay, let's get started. Let's talk about what Broadway is in 2021. So many of you are bringing your books into auditions, and it's just full of Golden Age musical theater. It's full of songs from The Apple Tree. It's full of songs from Cantor and Ebb or Roger and Hammerstein. Broadway is not that anymore. That's not what's on Broadway right now. There might be one Golden Age show on Broadway out of the 25 that are there. Why is your book full of that old material when that's not what Broadway is? Your book needs to be a representation of what Broadway currently offers. So, what shows are on Broadway right now? Just to get an example of kind of where Broadway is, let's talk through it. Moulin Rouge, pop musical. Hadestown, Anais Mitchell music, folk, pop, sensibility, jazz. Okay, we got Waitress, Sarah Bareilles, musical theater, but Sarah Bareilles did it, so it's pop. It kind of has that pop singer-songwriter sensibility. Tina Turner, that's pop. We've got Hamilton. We all know Hamilton. That's pop R&B rap. We've got Ain't Too Proud, The Temptations, Jagged Little Pill, which is Alanis Morissette. Okay, we've got MJ, with Michael Jackson, the musical. We got Girl from the North Country, which is Bob Dylan. That's the folk, sensibility. We've got Jersey Boys, and we've got off Broadway. We've got Six, which is a pop rock new musical. We've got Freestyle Love Supreme, which is improv and rap. We've got Dear Evan Hansen, which is Pasek and Paul, but that's like modern musical theater pop. And then we're getting into the musical theater stuff. But even in the musical theater genre shows, it's still that modern stuff. Diana, which is from the writers of Memphis, which is very, again, pop, rhythm and blues kind of style, because it's Bon Jovi's keyboardist. And then we've got Carolina Change, which is that soul musical theater. We've got Beetlejuice, which is Eddie Perfect, which is very musical theater, but he's kind of a modern pop kind of writer. And then Wicked, Stephen Schwartz, Come From Away, which is, again, the folk kind of modern musical theater. And then Book of Mormon. That's a lot of shows that are all in that modern, either straight up modern pop rock genre or a modern musical theater sound. There's only a handful of shows, these like 3 shows that are in the old guard of musical theater. We've got Chicago, okay, Cantor and Ebb, which has been running forever. And we've got Company Revival coming out, which is Sondheim. There's your Sondheim representation. Then there's a new show coming out, Flying Over Sunset. And we got Music Man Revival. There's your old school musical theater, the Music Man Revival. So why does your book have 85% of songs that are this old musical theater genre, Rodgers and Hammerstein and Ira Gershwin and Cantor and Ebb? 85% of your books, when I open them up, are full of this stuff. That's not what Broadway is. You've got to stay up to date. You got to stay fresh. Okay, so we went through a list of what is on Broadway right now in 2021. Let's talk about what those shows are and what that means for our book. What categories do we need in our book in order to book these shows? How many songs do I need and what categories? Well, you're not going to like the answer to this. The number of songs, I'm going to give you 20. I'm going to say you need 20 songs in your book. You say, oh my God, I'm done. I can't do it. We need to rethink how we approach this. 20 songs may seem like a lot, but this is what we do. This is our work. This is who we are. If you want to be an actor, a professional musical theater actor, you've got to invest in yourself. You've got to have a solid book for many reasons, not just for auditions. But say someone asks you to perform at 54 Below next week. You've already got an arsenal of songs that you can perform and perform well and act and be ready to go. You could show up to an open mic night ready to go. You could go to a friend's concert. They say, hey, come up and join me on stage. Instead of being embarrassed and not knowing stuff, you have a bunch of songs that you already know and you're prepared to do. Okay, 20 songs may seem like a lot. It's not that much. I'm going to give you 20 songs off the top of my head right now that fit these categories that I'm going to learn for my book, and we're going to do this together. So here we go. Let's go through the categories of songs that we want in our book, and I'm going to give you a real-world example of a song that I would choose for that category. So we're going to build a book together. As I'm saying my songs, you can think of either steal my songs, sure, or come up with your own songs, and you can kind of see where I'm going. And let's make this list of 20 songs for our book together. Okay, let's start easy. So the first category I want you to have in your book is Disney. Disney's always going to have shows on Broadway, very popular. You're going to be auditioning for Disney at some point in your career, probably. So right now they have Lion King and Aladdin on Broadway. Frozen is touring. So it's good to have Disney in your arsenal of songs. So we're going to have two songs in the Disney category. We're going to have an uptempo and we're going to have ballad. For my uptempo, I'm going to choose a song from the Mary Poppins Returns movie. Why am I doing that? Well, I don't want like a normal uptempo that everybody knows and has heard 100 times. I kind of want to pick something a little bit obscure, but also it's kind of relevant and modern. It's not from like a Disney movie 100 years ago. It feels fresh. So Mark Shaman did the music to Mary Poppins Returns. So Trip a Little Light Fantastic is what I'm going to choose. Lin-Manuel sings it in Mary Poppins Returns. And that's going to be a great song, a little bit of patter song and showcase a little bit of fun side of what I have to offer. For my ballad, I'm going to choose Stephen Schwartz, Hunchback of Notre Dame. I'm going to choose, I'm not going to choose Out There. Everybody sings Out There. I don't want to pick up too popular a song. I want it to be a little bit unique. So I'm going to choose Heaven's Light from the musical version of the show, and has such a beautiful long note at the end. It must be heaven's light. And it just goes on and on. So I can showcase my voice. And also it has a beautiful lyric quality about it and such a great story that I can act. When you're picking these songs, you really want to pick songs that have a great conflict, that have story, that have the character really fighting against something. You don't want it to just be, especially in these pop songs we'll get to in a second, you don't want it to just be flat, like just la 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 la, or I love you, I love you, I love, and they're not going anywhere. You want the story to kind of have some conflict and you want to go somewhere and have a journey within the song. Otherwise the acting is just going to fall flat. We don't want to just hear you singing pretty notes. We want you to be exploring and like in searching your soul and really fighting against something. Next category, the singer-songwriter category. A lot of shows on Broadway are using this nowadays, whether it's Hadestown, Jagged Little Pill, even shows like Come From Away or Girl from the North Country. Singer-songwriter stuff can benefit that genre of show. So let's have two songs from the singer-songwriter. Again, an up-tempo and a ballad. So for my real world examples, I'm going to choose for my first singer-songwriter song, a song by Ben Rector called Note to Self. Actually, a friend of mine did this not too long ago. That's why it comes to mind. It's just a great song to act. It has a great story, a great punchline to the lyrics, and it has a kind of an upbeat quality to it. It's easy to sing. It kind of feels very musical theatery. So that'll be my first song. And then my second song, I'm going to choose John Legend, Minefields. And again, fun to sing, actable, and there's my two. So that's easy. So I have two Disney songs, and now I have two singer-songwriter songs. Okay, next in my book, I need that old school pop rock. So I'm going to choose two songs that are not too famous, that are super famous, but not overly done and is in the musical theater world at least. So I'm going to choose Call Me from Blondie. Call Me by Blondie, which again is a lot of fun, and I can see some fun acting choices with that song. And then I'm also going to choose Huey Lewis and the News because that's just such a great band and such fun to sing. So I'll choose Hip to Be Square, again for the acting reasons, because I can see as an actor portraying that song in a very square, I'm kind of a square guy, so I can see like kind of having a square performance and then saying, but coming out of my shell and then being out of that and being saying it's hip to be square, like, all these things. And it's such a great sing. So there's my two. Okay, next we have the current pop song. So whenever we're dealing with current pop songs, what's fun about it is that a lot of musical theater now is kind of in that pop current sensibility, but also, these real people behind the desk, whether it's the casting director, music director, they listen to music that hit charts nowadays. Most people do. So it's fun when you bring in something that's on the charts right now, because it usually gets a rise out of them, and they'll be really engaged to see how you act it and what you do with it. So for my two pop modern songs, I'm going to pick a couple songs that I've had on my playlist, I guess. The first one that comes to mind is Billie Eilish. I mean, it's so great, and she's got a lot of great, lyrics for acting, and also vocally, you can really show off. So I'm going to choose "Lovely" from Billie Eilish, and then for my other one, I'm going to choose uh, Giveon, I believe is how you say it. Giveon's "For Tonight," I think, is a great song that not a lot of people are going to sing, but again, has a great lyric quality and is actable. Next, I want to choose one song that's in the R&B rap category because again, so much of musical theater is starting to swing this way, and I'm not asking for you to, if you're a white guy like me, for instance, I'm not asking you to learn something that is like, I'm not going to learn Megan Thee Stallion and or Cardi B or something and come in with that. It wouldn't be inappropriate. It doesn't make sense. Okay, but I'm not asking you to do that. But I'm asking you to pick something that feels like your aesthetic, that feels on brand for you, but just have that genre represented. So for me, that's going to be Chance the Rapper. I love Chance, and I grew up with gospel, so he has kind of has a gospel, um, uh, jazz quality to his music. So I'm going to choose Smoke Break from the Coloring Book album. Smoke Break again because it's actable. It's basically like, I've been working my butt off, I've been doing all this, and I just need a break. And I think that is great for musical theater. And it also, it's not just monotone rap. He has like a melody to the rap, so I think that's going to be a good song for me. Um, but you can have fun. Maybe the best song for you is a Cardi B. All right, now we get to the old school musical theater. We get to the golden age stuff. So I want to have two things from the golden age. I'm going to choose Soliloquy from Carousel. Again, acting. It's just such a great acting song. It's too long, so I'll have to cut it down. We'll talk about that next week. But I'll probably do the My Little Girl section where he talks about his daughter. He thought it was going to be a son, and then he thought, well, what if I have a girl? I'm not guaranteed to have a son. What if I have a girl? And then he talks about that and what that would mean for his life. Um, so that's that. And then how about You Can't Take That Away from Me, from Crazy for You, I think. Ira Gershwin. It's a great song, great jazz song, standard up tempo, which I need because I chose Soliloquy for my ballad. So there's our golden age. Okay, now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of your book. The next 8 songs are all going to be in the modern musical theater category. We're going to do 4 songs that are contemporary musical theater, kind of pop musical theater, and we're going to choose 4 songs that require a more legit sound. So the way you sing them is more legit. So 4 songs that are sung in a way that's more pop musical theater, and 4 songs that are legit, say like Les Mis, Miss Saigon. Okay, so for my 4 modern musical theater or contemporary musical theater songs, I'm going to choose first. I want something that represents kind of Lin-Manuel's aesthetic. So I'm gonna choose from Vivo, the new Netflix movie. I'm gonna choose One More Song because I think it kind of represents what Lin does without singing all the really popular stuff from Hamilton or from In the Heights. I can approach it a little bit differently. So there's one. Two, I'm going to do Pasek and Paul because they're so popular. So I'm going to choose For Forever from Dear Evan Hansen. Great story, great sing, self-explanatory and current. The movie just came out, so it feels fresh. Um, Home from Beetlejuice, to throw in an Eddie Perfect song, I think is good. He's kind of been doing a lot of stuff for Broadway recently with King Kong and now Beetlejuice. So Home is a great sing. Originally, it's for a woman, but who cares nowadays? You can sing like man song, woman song. It doesn't matter. It's just whatever's best for your voice type and for the story. And lastly, I'm going to choose something from Memphis. I'm going to choose what's the name of that song? Oh, Memphis Lives in Me. I'm going to do that because again, Diana, it's the same team that did Memphis did Diana, which is out now. So I feel like that's a good representation of contemporary musical theater. So now that I have those 4 songs, I'm going to choose 4 more songs that are in that legit modern musical theater category. So for my first song, I'm going to choose Stars from Les Mis because sure, it's a popular song that a lot of people do, but it gives me that legit villain kind of quality. And maybe I need something in my book that feels a little more dark. So I need a patter song in this musical theater category. So I'm going to choose Never, Ever, Ever, Ever Getting Rid of Me. Is that the name of it? Never, Ever Getting Rid of Me, I think, from Waitress, which is a ton of fun and kind of shows maybe some more character side of me, some fun sides of me that I haven't showcased yet. And yeah, and it's an uptempo, which crosses that off the list. Next, I'm going to choose uh, Where in the World from Secret Garden, because it's not Lily's Eyes. I'm not going to sing Lily's Eyes. It's too popular from Secret Garden, but I think Where in the World, that Manny Patinkin did so beautifully, is a great, again, actable and also showcases the vocal legit quality that I want. And then I think last, I'm going to do Love Who You Love from A Man of No Importance. The reason I'm doing that is because Stephen Flaherty, I haven't really sung anything of his yet in my book, and you know, Flaherty does so much, you know, whether it's ragtime or these Broadway shows, that legit style I want to represent. So I think singing from A Man of No Importance is good, and it's that Love Who You Love is a great sing, easy. Okay, last on our list is Sondheim. We need a Sondheim, and sometimes you can sneak in like an Adam Gettle or a Scott Frankel or one of these modern composers that's a little more intellectual based, a little more classical in their approach. So for Sondheim, you're going to want something that's playable. Unlike the other songs where other categories where you can go obscure. Say you're doing Alan Menken, you can find an obscure Alan Menken song because it's playable. It's easier for an accompanist to read, even if they don't know it. But when you're doing Sondheim, it's got to be one of the standards because otherwise the accompanist isn't going to be able to play it. So for me, that's going to be, I would have to go either from, I'd probably choose something from Sunday in the Park with George because I identify with George myself. I would say Finishing the Hat probably, or Move On, one of those two, which both are great sings and such great songs to act. And then for another Sondheim song, I might do Every Day a Little Death from A Little Night Music, dark, but again, a beautiful song that has a little more of a lilt to it. So there's my two Sondheim songs. Okay, if you made it all the way to the end, you get some bonus points. That was a lot of work. Going through and doing the work of researching what is on Broadway, what my book needs to look like, then picking 20 songs in all of these categories that feel like me, that feel doable. That's a lot of work. But the work's done. Hopefully now you can sit down with a pen and paper, write the 20 songs that you're going to prepare, and then we're going to start, starting next week, we're going to start to look at how we construct the 16 bars. How do we construct a 32 bar cut? How do we learn a whole song? What do we do to get these things actually actionable and ready to go? We'll talk about that next week. And then in the next video after that, we'll talk about the details, how to mark cuts in your book, how to put in dynamics. Should you highlight? Should you use stars? Should you use double-sided paper or the sleeves? We'll talk about all those logistics to get this book ready. For now, get those songs picked out. Let's go. Freshen up that book. Throw away that old stuff. You don't need it anymore. It's time to get up to date and to really work on yourself. And let's get ready to go to a New Year's coming up, 2022. There's going to be a lot of auditions coming up for new musical theater shows as hopefully we get this COVID thing under control. So let's get this book freshened up. I want to hear in the comments what songs you're choosing, any questions you have, something that doesn't make sense today. If you're feeling overwhelmed, reach out to Adrian and I. We're here to help you, and we want you to succeed, okay? I don't want to keep seeing your books filled with all this stuff that I'm just like screaming, and then the people, when you leave, the people behind the desk are like, what are they doing? And I'm like, I don't know, but they need to watch the show, okay? All right, y'all, let us know what you need in the comments, and break a leg.